Hey Saab people, have you ever felt like we're missing something in our 07 Plus NG95 interiors? Like we're lacking the fighter jet feel that the 06 previous interiors used to give us, with the display being up top. It's also super frustrating that we can't put an NG95 Gauge Cluster directly into our 07 Plus interiors like the 06 and previous can. The solution to these problems is here. My good buddy Ahmad, aka Saab Airlines, has released the SID Relocation Kit. Now what this kit does is it relocates your integrated display from the Gauge Cluster back to the top of the dash where it uniquely belongs on our Saabs. And having this kit in addition to another one that is coming out very soon will allow you to install an NG95 Gauge Cluster in your 07 Plus Saab interior for the first time ever. But the first thing you need to do is install this initial kit. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Javen, but you probably know me best as Solving Saab. Let's get my 2008 Saab 9.3's integrated display to go from this to this. Let's unbox and install the kit. So let's go ahead and get into our unboxing. And Ahmad packs this very well. I opened this ahead of time and scrambled things around. A lot of pieces come in this kit, as you can see, but I'll walk you through everything. This right here is your brand new display that will sit on top of the dash. This is a guide plate that helps you Dremel your hole to make the display sit on top of the dash. This right here is the bottom plate that goes under everything and holds all your screens together inside. This is your new LED board that will backlight the display, and it has way more LEDs than the stock one. This right here is an optional LED you can install for the theft deterrent system to turn it green. In this bag, there's a flex cable and an adapter to help us move the display from the Gauge Cluster to the top of the dash, and in the same bag is a plain black block-off plate where the old SID used to sit. You don't need to choose a black one. I opted to. Saab Airlines has a lot of different designs. This right here is your control box, which also has an optional remote to make things brighter, less bright, turn the screen off, whatever you desire. This little control box has two modes. Mode 1 allows all of your normal dash buttons to affect your information display that sits at the top of your dash, and mode 2 makes everything work with the remote with two little screws for hardware to hold all of this stuff into place when you drill your hole. To install this kit, we'll need to disassemble the entire front panel of the dash from the radio to the driver's side vent. This is going to let us remove the Gauge Cluster and run new wiring. So put away your cup holder and any accessories to clear things out. Then release your steering wheel to make more working room and allow more space to remove stuff. Starting disassembly of the dash, we are first going to have to remove your center vent right above the radio. What I've realized after doing this job dozens of times using every method possible is that no matter what you do, you are going to end up scratching this panel all around this radio. Using the factory method actually reduces the amount of scratching and damage to this panel. My other car is all scraped up all the way around from doing the gift card method. Those of you that don't believe me about the gift card method, all of this damage underneath here, this over here, and there's damage right there. All of that is caused by the gift card method. No shame at all to the people who do use the gift card method. It works great for a lot of people, just not me personally. That damage was done years ago when I tried to install a different head unit. The factory method, you take a plastic trim tool, you stick it in the corner over here where it's mostly straight, and you start to pry away on this, and at the same time, you take a sturdy pick tool, you stick a straight tool down inside these holes that you can see in the vent. There's 3 of them. One here, and one here. And I don't know if you can see them or not. Very small hole that you can see right there. You stick something down straight in it at a sharp angle. You stick it in until it won't go anymore, and you push down on it. Take a plastic trim tool, and one side will be very, very smooth. And I recommend that you keep that smoothest side towards the outside of the panel, because this is what you're afraid of damaging right here. You stick it in through the corner until you're behind both parts of the vent panel. There's a front panel built into this vent and a back panel. They do separate, so make sure you're pushed all the way into the back before you start prying on it. Then you're going to stick your straight tool into the first hole all the way to the right, and you are going to push down on it. Smooth side away, like this. Get your pick in there, sharp angle, give it a pull down, and it releases the right side. Then go down to your middle slot here. It's a nice sharp angle downward, and then release that one by pulling down. Now we have 2 clips released, and then go into your third hole, just right here. Get your hand behind this, let's work it. There you go, just like that. There you go. As you can see, there is no damage on this panel at all. If anybody ever tells you to shave down the clips on the bottom or top of that vent, I highly recommend not doing it. There is a reason that those clips exist. It's so that when you're in a car accident, that vent doesn't fly out and smoke you in the face. Just think about your own safety before you want to think about ease of access and things. So the next step is to remove this vent here, and this one is always particularly a pain due to one clip up here on your fourth set of fins down inside here, and I will show you how to avoid having this fall apart. If for some reason it does fall apart, I have a video on my channel. Check the top right corner, click on that link, and it will show you how to put this vent back together if it all falls apart. You'll be able to see the hole that goes further back than any other one, and that is where you want to stick your pick in to release that tab. To remove this vent, pull this panel off, go ahead and reach behind here and push on this to remove this switch set right here, and sneak your fingers underneath. I like to just use 4, and you can start to kind of push this vent, fingers underneath, and you start to pull on this vent. You take your pick at a right angle, make it go to the right first, snake it in there, and then have it twist to the left. Putting some tension on that clip will compress it. On the side right here, you're basically just pulling on it like this, and there's your vent removal. Next thing we are going to do is come down into here, and you're going to see a little tab right there on the side. You take your pick tool, release this, and then pull on the entire lower tray. Your AC unit, just pulling on it, just like this. Let that hang as well. Take a T25 and remove your 2 radio screws, one on top of the radio here, and one on top of the radio right here on the left. That part is done. Just lift slightly on your radio and pull forward. So for these, you just push down on the black tab that's right here, and you pull on the outside. Don't pull on your wires. You're just asking for trouble if you do that. It looks like this radio has been replaced before, because there's normally like a little pink safety clip somewhere in here, I believe, but it's really entirely useless. What you do to remove this one is you push on the yellow tab, and you can see that there is a little release underneath there. It's not working really because this is an old GM electrical connector that sucks. So we're just gonna pry on it like this. Now that we have the dash torn apart here, we have one thing left to remove. When you feel behind here, there will be 2 little squeeze tabs, and then this just releases. Here's your little squeeze tabs. They're very close to the top. You just kind of pull on these and the whole thing releases. There should be 8 screws holding on this entire assembly. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we'll get all those undone. Something I recommend when doing this job is having all of your windows down and being in a place where some wind can blow through here so that you can blow all the dust out of this stuff. So this is a good opportunity to just kind of clean your stuff. Another thing I recommend keeping around when you are doing this job is keep a small magnet, because it's really easy to lose these screws around the dash. You obviously will want to disconnect this, just like that. That comes apart. So when you have everything disconnected, sneak that wire back through over here. And when you've got everything disconnected, just go ahead and pull. And this is where you obviously want your steering wheel out of the way, just like I told you in the beginning. Ooh. If you find one of these bad boys kicking around, it belongs in these holes, and it goes on the back face of your tabs over here, like this. Link, just keep that where it belongs. So to remove your gauge cluster, there is 4 screws. One here, one up here, one down here, and one up here. So we've got our screws out, so we'll just go ahead and pull on this. And do keep in mind that this is old black plastic, so this stuff is pretty sticky when you touch it. We have got one connector back here. Push down on the little black tab here, and then pull your release bar backwards, and it will unseat itself. Now the last thing that we need to remove in order to get this job done, and then we'll get into reassembly, this unit right here. Your dash is made of like a foamy plastic, so it is difficult to really cause it a lot of harm. I highly recommend, if you can, approaching from the front where you can't see the edge. From the front, kind of push down, get under it, and carefully just work our way around. So when you do that, kind of just give it a little pry. You want to be careful. The front two tabs right here that come out, you can see they have glue on them. Rest out. After that, now I have to be really careful here because I just smashed my windshield and there's broken glass inside of everything here. The little red light that sits inside of it, you literally just take your fingers under and smoosh it down with your thumb. I believe it's plastic, so it's not going to shatter or hurt you or anything like that. This one, you need to twist the red section to the right. Twist it. So you are kind of reaching your point of no return here. You are going to need to remove the 4 T8 screws that are on the back of your gauge cluster. Just keep those screws somewhere you won't lose them. Now we're going to separate the back panel from the front glass. So there is a clip on each side. You just release it like that and release the other one. And when you do that, you can just kind of flip the unit over and your front plastic will come off. This is a very difficult step. We need to remove the little screen that sits inside of here. There is a little black bracket that holds in this electrical connector, and you need to be very, very careful with it. It is easy to snap it in half, break off a corner, or just have it fly out and go missing. So inside your gauge cluster, you can see that there is a black bracket underneath your gold flex cable that attaches to your screen. And sometimes it's easier starting from one side versus the other. I always have more luck starting on the right side. You can see I just pulled on it there. Oops. And that is an example of pulling too far on it. Luckily it didn't break. I can still push it back where it's supposed to go. And then take the back side, smooth edge of your pick, just pull that out. Take your fingers, and you've released your flex cable. And when that's done, you pull down on the white plastic on each side like this, just gently falls out on its own, just like that. And from here, we can go ahead and get started on reassembly of the system. So you need to take your flex cable and you need to plug it in. So you tuck it in between the black bracket and the gold area right there. When you are assembling this, make sure you are applying constant pressure on the flex cable so that it's seated all the way, and you are using your other hand to push on the black tabs to lock it back into place. You won't be able to push it in anymore when it's in all the way. And you will feel them both click back into place. And if you give the flex cable a small tug, it shouldn't come out. Now take our plate. There is a thicker side and a thinner side. You want the thinner side facing the bottom, thicker side towards the top, and you slide it right where the old screen was in here, just like that. You push it all the way up. And then when you push it all the way up, it should snap these corners into place. Once you have this part back together, you can now take this, put your screen back over, make sure your button is coming through the hole, and just snap it back into place, just like this. Make sure your tabs on each side are locked. And now you have your flex cable coming out of the bottom. So we are going to put our T8 screws back in. The top, you can go, pretty much as tight as you want. Just don't go crazy with it. Make sure that you go pretty gentle on your bottom two screws because you don't want to pinch that flex cable too much. You want the blue side of the flex cable sticking upward, and then you want that to go with the screen facing upward. You unlock your adapter by just simply flicking up on it right here. And then you take your screen, you get this to sit down inside. There's only one correct way, and you'll see it sit perfectly straight all the way across. And when you do, you just close your black flap, just like that. And when you do that, there will be no gap in between the black plastic and the white line on your actual wire harness. So now we need to take this system, plug it back into the car to make sure our screen comes on. When you sit it inside the dash, do so very carefully. Hold it up to the sky so that you can see your mileage. And this will confirm that it is working in the car. It doesn't look like there's any issues with the screen, which is perfect. So now what we need to do is unplug our little screen, the section with blue cable. So just lift on that there and then slide this out because we need to take this screen back into the house and build it into our kit. So I'll get outside with some better lighting for this part. Go ahead and grab your adapter plate right here and slide it all the way forward until it won't slide forward anymore. Take a pick or a marker and go ahead and scratch an outline into this top plate here and drill your pilot holes through here, then Dremel this rectangle out. My tip for making sure that this is nice and straight is just slide it forward until you can kind of see this just sit into that groove with no big crack around it right here. The drill bit size, I just used an 1/8 inch through each hole, made sure they're nice and straight, and we can always go larger if we need to. I took my pick and scratched around a rough area where the hole needs to be. Well, I just realized my Dremel is broken, but I've just gone through it with a larger drill bit multiple times. And now what I'm going to do is take a knife/razor blade and heat it up with a torch until it's glowing hot. And then I'm just gonna cut out the rest of the stencil. Well, there's my final product. It's not crazy, it's not straight, but it's gonna be hidden anyway. Take a second and pause if you need to. This is everything you're gonna need for the next step. First thing we're gonna do is take our display right here, and we are going to fit our screen in this way, and this should slide right in with ease. If you have to force it, then you need to trim your plastic. On the back of your display here, you can see that there is a white plastic adhesive buffer. This is to block the LEDs to make this glow uniformly on the front. If the white plastic is going over one side versus the other, as you can see, you will need to trim this down to match the other side. Otherwise, this is going to have a really hard time fitting into the display cover. Just use an X-Acto knife and trim it very gently so that you don't hurt the glass. It should slide right in, no problem. It's okay for it to be a little bit tight, but it should go in evenly, and you really should not have to force it at all. And it'll snap into place just like that. Take your LED screen, take this bracket, and you are going to want to put this up through the bottom of the left side, like that. And then you can take the LED board and put it in facing the back of the screen, because this is what's going to backlight the display. And the LED board is a little bit of a tough fit, so you are gonna have to push it in there. Just be careful not to hurt the screen in front when your thumbs slip around. Then you need to take your piece of paper and put your piece of paper in between the two as an extra buffer, because there's a lot more LEDs on this board. Take this assembly here. You're gonna sneak that through the bottom sideways. Get your wiring harness through there as well. And you're gonna sit this down on top. Little harness on your screen through the tiniest spot in the front there. And then you take your little black screws and you put it through your pilot holes and screw it into the top of the display. And just go until these screws are pretty much snug. And you will see a P1 and a P2. This is going to be P1 on the side of the board. And you want this gold contacts on the bottom to go downward. In between the white there, and you're gonna feel that it's down all the way because it won't go anymore. And when it's down all the way, you just close the black flap. There should be no color in between the white and the black on this adapter. And that's how you put together your SID Relocation display. So as far as installing your optional green LED, it's very easy. All you need to do, snip your existing LED off, and you need to strip the existing wires sticking out. Blue wire will go to the green wire, and the black wire will go to the black wire. Connector right here has a lever that snaps it into place. Sneak it into the correct colored hole, and then press your lever, and it won't come out. So at this point, we are going to have to get things wired up to the cigarette plug using this control box right here. Take your wire right here, and you are going to need to sneak this from the cigarette lighter area up in between, probably back here, between these wires will work. Then you will have to sneak your arm between the left side of this air vent right here up until you get to this hole there and plug it in. So something I just remembered, in order to get this cable up through, the easiest way is to remove your top dash speaker. And if you do that, it will actually give you more bass in the rest of the car because this little tiny speaker sucks up a lot of the amperage. I removed that speaker. I am not putting that back in there. I stick my left arm around this air pipe here, and I should be able to get my cables up through very easily. So this part of the kit is pretty darn sweet. Just unplug everything from the cigarette lighter. There we go, those are unplugged. Off of this control box, there's 4 plugs. The yellow plug right here that came off your cigarette lighter goes to the one with a little bit of solder on it. Male version right here goes into the female version that we disconnected from the back of the cigarette lighter. And then the last two wires, which is this silver one, this one goes onto the green connector right here. This is just your light for the cigarette port. Then the other one goes onto the actual cigarette lighter plug so that it still works. The next thing we need to do is get our gauge cluster back in and route our flex cable up through the back, same route as this, because these two areas are actually connected. You can see your fingers come through there. There we go. All I did was snake my arm through the back and put it up over the top of the vent, and it's sticking through with that. So I can go ahead and put my screws back into my gauge cluster. So before we install this all the way, we are gonna have to cut the foam in the dash, starting at about this hole right here, making a straight line forward, make a straight line back across into the dish area back here, and back to this hole over here. So you're basically just making a little tray for your screens to sit a little bit lower. So let's get our stuff plugged in. The blue side facing us goes into the flex adapter. Need to plug in our old light, our sensor up there, and plug in the actual LEDs as well. I did end up trimming a little bit further back into the dash, but this looks good. Reinstallation is pretty easy. Just make sure that your wire harnesses are on the correct side of this panel so that you don't lose them. Snap it back into place, and then go ahead and put in your 8 screws that surround all the different sides of this. A well-known trick that will help you with this job is to make sure all of your screws are in before you snug them all the way down. This will allow the panel to have a little bit of play so that you don't have any issues putting in individual screws, and it will allow everything to be centered a lot better. So once you have your 8 screws in the dash, reinstall your AC and fan controls, then put your cigarette port back in, make sure the control module is back there tucked away properly, plug your radio back in, and then sneak it back into place inside of the dash, make sure it snaps into place, and put your 2 screws on the top, put your accessory panel that sits to the left of your radio back in, make sure it's plugged in, and finally reinstall both of your vents, making sure that the tabs are bent forward. As you can see, my display is now relocated to the top of the dash, and we have currently got the SID loaded, so we've got all kinds of extra information sitting here. But of course, this kit is completely compatible with just the regular Saab information display, so we can see how many miles we have till empty, fuel, temperature, you name it. But since we have the SID 3 installed in our OBD port, we can hold the clear button and we can go through all sorts of vehicle settings. We can go through our powertrain settings and see all kinds of cool things here. So let's do another quality test. I've got a heavy duty flashlight here. Here's what happens with light shining directly on it. Everything is still perfectly visible because Ahmad has doubled the amount of LED backlighting on this display. This kit is so damn cool. I really thought, you know, it's not going to be that cool, but it really does liven up the cockpit of the fighter jet quite a bit. Just check out how much that makes you stand out from other Saabs having that unique feature up there. That is just so cool. And the coolest part about it is I'll be able to put in a 95 cluster if I want to. If you want one of these kits, make sure to hit up Ahmad, Saab Airlines, on Instagram or Facebook. Super cool guy. I believe he's also releasing a website, so all the info you will need will be in the description of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.